Have you ever wondered what would happen if a company everyone thought was outdated turned out to be the very name that made the entire electric vehicle industry stop and take a second look? For years, people believed the future battle of the auto industry had only one path: bigger batteries, faster charging, and longer driving range. Tesla, BYD, and a long list of major players have all been racing in that direction at an incredible speed. But while the whole world seemed to be running one way, Mazda, a brand known for being quiet and low-key, did something nobody expected. They went back to the Rotary engine, a technology that seemed like it had been left behind by time. But this time, everything is completely different. This is not the Rotary engine from 30 years ago. It comes with a new brain, an intelligent control system, and it is combined with hybrid technology in a way no one has really done before. So what does that mean? It means a car could deliver the driving feel of a real electric vehicle, smooth, powerful, and instant. But the driver would no longer have to worry about finding a charging station, waiting for hours, or calculating whether there is enough battery left to get home. While electric vehicle companies are pouring billions of dollars into building charging networks, Mazda has chosen a completely different way to solve the problem. Make that problem matter much less in the first place. That is why, as soon as this information appeared, the entire auto industry started to stir. This is not just a new technology. This is a different way of thinking, an approach that could rewrite the whole debate between electric vehicles and internal combustion engine cars. But the biggest question is still there. Is this move really strong enough to threaten giants like Tesla and BYD? Is the entire electric vehicle market standing in front of a turning point that even people inside the industry have not fully noticed yet? In this video, we are going to take a deep dive into the whole story. What has Mazda built that other companies have not been able to do? Why are many experts calling this a game changer? And most importantly, is this the beginning of a real revolution, or is it just another big promise in a long list of promises the auto industry has made before? Before we get into the story, if you enjoy analysis videos like this, do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next. To understand why Mazda's move is getting so much attention, we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of the auto industry, right? Now, over roughly the past decade, almost every conversation in the car industry has revolved around one single topic: electrification. Governments have set roadmaps to cut emissions. Major cities are planning to ban internal combustion engine vehicles. And automakers are pouring massive resources into battery research, gigafactory construction, and charging network development. Tesla became the symbol of this wave. BD, which started as a Chinese battery company, has risen to become one of the largest electric vehicle manufacturers in the world. Traditional names like Volkswagen, Hyundai, and Kia have also been forced to follow, investing heavily in dedicated electric vehicle platforms. But inside that wave, there is one problem that many consumers, especially in the United States, are still quietly worried about. That problem is charging infrastructure. Even though automakers loudly advertise how far their cars can go, the reality is that in many areas, especially suburbs and rural regions, charging stations are still not easy to find. Charging time, even though it has improved, still cannot compare to filling up a gas tank in just a few minutes. This is exactly what analysts call range anxiety. And for many consumers who are 45 years old and above, people who have been used to the convenience of gasoline cars for decades, this is not a small concern. It is a real barrier that makes them hesitate before switching to an electric vehicle. In that context, almost every major company is trying to solve the problem by doing one thing: making bigger batteries, faster charging, higher energy density. That is the only path most people are looking at. But Mazda, a company that does not have the financial scale to race directly against Tesla or BYD in the battery war, chose a different path. Instead of trying to solve the charging problem by making charging better, they asked a different question. Why not make charging less necessary? This is where the story of Mazda's new Rotary engine starts to get really interesting. But to understand why this matters so much, we need to look at the core of the whole story. Before talking about the new technology, we need to understand who Mazda is and why this company has the DNA to create something like this. Mazda was founded in 1920 in Hiroshima, originally under the name Toyo Cork Kogyo. At that time, the company did not make cars. It made machinery and tools. It was not until 1931 that Mazda introduced its first vehicle, a small three-wheeled vehicle called the Mazda Go. After World War II, when many Japanese companies nearly collapsed completely, Mazda survived and started following a path very few dared to try: rotary engine technology. In the 1960s, when the Mazda Cosmo Sport was introduced, the whole world realized this company was playing a completely different game from the rest of the industry. The rotary engine became Mazda's symbol, a symbol of creativity and the courage to go against the usual path. Today, Mazda is present in more than 120 countries, and its philosophy of driving matters, meaning driving is not just a task but an experience, has become the guiding principle behind every design. In terms of scale, Mazda cannot be compared with giants like Toyota or Tesla, but what makes Mazda special is its extremely loyal customer base. In 2023, the company sold around 1.2 million vehicles globally, with SUV models like the CX-5 and CX-60 playing major roles. In the United States, Mazda is often seen as affordable luxury, meaning the price is still reasonable, but the driving feel and build quality carry a premium character. In recent years, while the entire industry rushed into electric vehicles, Mazda continued to follow its familiar style. Not rushing, they focused on Skyactiv technology, which makes internal combustion engines more efficient, lighter, and more fuel-saving. They did not completely abandon gasoline, and they also did not jump fully into electrification. It was a balance, and that balance has become part of Mazda's identity. Mazda's global market share in 2024 was only around 2%, a fairly small number. But what matters is that the company has maintained a strong connection with customers without spending too heavily on loud advertising. Most Mazda vehicles are still produced in Japan, where Takumi, highly skilled craftspeople, build each vehicle with extreme attention to detail. And now, Mazda's focus is once again returning to the engine, but in a completely new way. This is where the story becomes more interesting than ever. At first, it sounds simple, but this small detail may be the very thing that changes the entire game. So what makes this new rotary engine so different from the old version? To understand that, first remember the basic principle of a rotary engine. Unlike a traditional piston engine, where pistons move up and down to create power, a rotary engine uses a rotor that spins continuously. Because of that, the engine can be smaller, lighter, and much smoother in operation. But traditional rotary engines had two major weaknesses: high fuel consumption and a tendency to overheat. These are the two problems Mazda has focused heavily on solving in this new version. The first improvement is direct fuel injection. In the past, fuel was not delivered to the exact place where combustion needed to happen, which led to waste. Now, with a direct injection system, every drop of fuel is used more efficiently, improving both power and fuel economy. The second improvement is heat management. Mazda redesigned the entire internal cooling system with new cooling jackets and optimized airflow. As a result, engine temperature is controlled much better, greatly reducing the risk of overheating, one of the main reasons older rotary engines often had shorter lifespans. The third improvement is friction reduction. The moving parts inside the engine are lighter and smoother, with special coatings like diamond-like carbon. This not only helps the engine run more quietly, but also reduces wear and extends overall lifespan. And there is another important point: size. This engine is so compact that it can be easily combined with a battery and an electric motor in the same compartment. That means the manufacturer can install a larger battery or create more cabin space without making too many sacrifices. But the story does not stop there. This engine also comes with a new generation electronic control unit, or ECU, that continuously monitors driving conditions every second. It automatically adjusts the air-fuel mixture to achieve optimal efficiency in every situation, from cold weather and crowded city streets to high-speed highway driving. And here is the key point: this rotary engine does not directly drive the wheels. Instead, it works as a generator, creating electricity to charge the battery, while the electric motor is what actually moves the car. This is called a range extender system. But no matter how good a technology sounds, it does not really matter if it cannot be produced at scale. And it also does not matter if it does not create a noticeably different experience for the end user. So what would the real experience feel like inside a car using this system? Based on the information that has been released, the driving feel would be almost exactly like a pure electric vehicle. When you press the accelerator, torque arrives instantly, with no delay and no jerky response. Because the electric motor is what directly drives the wheels, that signature instant electric vehicle feeling is still there. But in the background, the rotary engine quietly does its job, continuously producing electricity to maintain the battery level. When the battery is full, the engine automatically shuts off. When the battery gets low, the engine automatically starts again to recharge it. The entire process happens so smoothly that the driver almost does not notice it. This leads to a concept many people are calling zero charging anxiety. There is no need to search for a charging station, no need to wait around. Just refuel like a normal gasoline car, and the engine takes care of the rest. In terms of range, Mazda claims this system can nearly double the driving distance compared with a typical electric vehicle. While a standard electric vehicle usually needs to recharge after around 400 to 500 kilometers, this system could reach 800 to 1,000 kilometers without stopping to charge. Noise is also said to be a major improvement. Older rotary engines were known for their distinctive and fairly loud sound, but with new sound insulation panels and vibration control technology, the cabin is said to be almost completely quiet, giving a feeling similar to sitting inside a premium electric vehicle. Also, because this engine is very small and light, the total vehicle weight does not increase too much even with the hybrid system added. Lower weight means better balance, better fuel efficiency, and quicker response during acceleration. To put it simply, you get the driving feel of an electric vehicle, but the freedom of a gasoline car. No range worries, no charging worries, and no major performance trade-offs. And this is where the race becomes more intense, because Mazda is not the only company trying to dominate the future. However, before getting too excited, we need to look at the real-world challenges this technology has to face. First, this is still a system that relies on burning fossil fuel to generate electricity. Even though fuel efficiency is significantly improved by nature, it still produces emissions just less than a traditional internal combustion engine. In a world where many countries, especially in Europe, are setting strict emissions targets and creating roadmaps to phase out vehicles using internal combustion engines, a system that still depends on gasoline even indirectly could face policy barriers in the long run. Second, there is the issue of production scale. Rotary engines have always been known as difficult to mass produce at low cost because they require high mechanical precision and special materials such as diamond-like carbon coatings. Taking this technology from a lab or prototype vehicle into mass production at a competitive price is a completely different challenge. Third, there's long-term reliability. Although Mazda says it has solved the leakage and overheating problems that troubled older rotary engines, these improvements still need to be proven through real-world use over many years. Across many climates and driving habits, consumers, especially those who have bad memories of old rotary engine durability, will need time to rebuild trust. Fourth, there is product positioning and price. A complex system that combines an internal combustion engine, a generator, a battery, and an electric motor will clearly not be cheap to produce. The question is, how will Mazda price these vehicles? And can that price truly compete with both pure electric vehicles and traditional hybrids from other rivals? And finally, there is a more strategic question. Is this a long-term solution or is it only a bridge? A temporary solution during the transition period before battery technology becomes mature enough to fully solve the problems of range and charging. Time. Many industry experts are still divided on this question. So in the end, the biggest question remains. Is this technology truly powerful enough to change the future? To answer that, we need to look at the wider competitive landscape. When placed next to its rivals, Mazda's position becomes clearer and also more interesting. Tesla, as the leader of the electric vehicle market for many years, has built its entire brand around the idea that the future is fully electric. Its supercharger network is seen as one of its biggest competitive advantages. But if some consumers begin shifting toward advanced hybrid solutions, like Mazda's, pressure will fall on one question. Will Tesla's charging infrastructure advantage still matter as much as before? BYD is in a different position. The company has invested heavily in both pure electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, so in theory it may be more flexible in adapting to new trends. In fact, there have already been reports suggesting that BYD and some other manufacturers, such as Hyundai, are also researching compact and efficient range extender systems. In Europe, where emissions regulations are very strict, but charging infrastructure is still not equally developed in every region, hybrid and plug-in hybrid solutions are gradually becoming popular again. This could be a market where Mazda's technology finds a natural place. In the United States, the market that most viewers of this video probably care about, Consumer attitudes are slowly shifting in a more practical direction. Many people no longer only care about how advanced a vehicle is. They care more about whether it makes daily life easier. This is exactly Mazda's traditional strength: simple, reliable, and not annoying to live with. Some industry estimates suggest that if Mazda rolls out this technology quickly and effectively, its global market share could rise from around 2% to 4 or 5% within the next few years, a significant increase for a company of Mazda's size. In Asia, especially in developing markets where charging infrastructure remains limited, this technology could create an even bigger impact. For consumers in these regions, the biggest barriers when thinking about electric vehicles are always charging time, electricity cost, and reliability on long trips. A car that delivers an electric driving feel but recharges itself using gasoline could address all three concerns at once. On the financial market side, right after information about this technology was released, there were noticeable movements in stocks related to the Japanese auto industry. Some analysts believe this could be a sign that pure electric vehicle growth may slow down in the near future as advanced hybrid solutions regain attention. So what could happen over the next few years if this technology is truly rolled out widely? According to the announced plans, Mazda intends to bring this system into SUV models such as the CX-60 and CX-90 over the next 2 to 3 years. These are high-volume segments and play an important role in the company's strategy, so integrating new technology here shows that Mazda is placing a big bet on this direction. Looking further ahead, Mazda has laid out an overall plan through 2030, where its entire product lineup will be compatible with multiple forms of energy. Some models will be regular hybrids, some will be plug-in hybrids, and some will use an electric configuration combined with a range extender. This strategy shows that Mazda does not want to bet everything on one single path. Instead, it wants to keep as much flexibility as possible. For consumers, especially middle-aged and older buyers who value convenience and reliability more than chasing the newest technology, this could be a very appealing choice. They get the modern, smooth, and powerful driving feel of an electric vehicle, while still keeping the freedom and familiar habit of filling up with gasoline. For the industry as a whole, if this technology succeeds, it could force many other manufacturers to rethink their electrification roadmaps. Instead of only having two choices, traditional gasoline cars or pure electric vehicles, there could be a third path, where the line between these two worlds becomes much blurrier. However, it is important to remember that all of this is still in the early stage. A technology that has been announced and a technology that has been proven on real roads, over hundreds of thousands of kilometers and many years of use, are two completely different stories. The history of the auto industry has seen plenty of technologies introduced with huge expectations only to fall short of commercial scale in the end. So what are we really witnessing here? A company once seen as small in the global electric vehicle race may actually be the name asking the biggest question to the entire industry. Is charging really something that must be required? Or is it simply a problem that can be solved in a completely different way? Mazda is not trying to beat Tesla or BYD on their own playing field. Instead, it is creating a different playing field where the familiar worries about driving range and charging time, the very issues that have haunted consumers for years, may no longer be problems. But the future is still full of uncertainty. Can this technology be produced at large scale and at a reasonable cost? Is its reliability truly improved the way Mazda claims? And will consumers, especially in major markets like the United States and Europe, be willing to accept a solution that sits in between gasoline and electricity, while global policies and trends are still leaning toward full electrification? Right now, no one can say for sure whether this will become a real revolution that changes the entire auto industry, or just an interesting step forward that ultimately remains a transitional solution before fully electric vehicles dominate the market. But one thing is certain: the race is no longer only about who has the better battery or who charges faster. Mazda has opened up a new question, and the way its rivals respond to that question over the next few years could reshape the entire map of the global auto industry. So what do you think? Is this the real turning point the electric vehicle industry has been waiting for? Or is it just a short-term attention-grabbing story that will eventually be forgotten? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video interesting, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe so you do not miss the next analysis on the future of the auto industry.